Okay. Hi, Patty here. It's been quite some time since I uploaded a video, a how to video, an art project video, or show and tell. Today's going to be a little bit different because this is something that I do as well, and I believe that this is a great part of my creative expression because of my innate desire to tie spirituality into artwork. Because do believe that they're intricately entwined. And when we are in the creative side or the creative right brain, we are very close to our upper and higher consciousness. And that's where we have access to all manner of information for spiritual growth. Now, before too many of you get your eyes glazed over, but for those of us who have done this for a little while, they can understand this. The mandala, how I came across the mandala was years ago. I started my metaphysical journey, the like real metaphysical journey. In other words, what I mean by that is I stepped away from the traditional Judo-Christian doctrination, if that is even a category. I belonged to a Christian denomination for a huge part of my life, pretty much all my life. There was a short period of time there where I had left the church, but I came back and, everything in its time. But my questions, I had more questions than I had answers. I had visited various other different thought processes and was never really satisfied. So the metaphysical journey, something that I was always interested in, the cosmos and these things that we have no concept of, or they're bigger than us. These are always things that have intrigued me and kept me going. I'm an information junkie as well, so also I have a lot of interests, and with one of them being sacred geometry. Sacred geometry in itself is a whole field, but as a result of sacred geometry, this led me into mandalas. And from mandalas, I started finding that I was having a lot of releases, or bursts of creativity, or, very big sighs. And I found it, very meditative because I also began meditating. The sacred geometry, though, was with me for a lot longer, which I studied and I prayed on and I meditated on. The Sri Yantra, the flower of life, is the one that's very near and dear to my heart, and also known throughout the entire world. I mean, there's ancient buildings and monuments that have the flower of life inscripted upon it. And even in recent years, especially beginning around 2003, when crop circles became almost as common day as getting up as the sun rises in the east, crop circles were showing up all over the world. And that's a whole different story again that I'd love to divulge in. However, these crop circles were indicating various forms of sacred geometry and teaching us a lot about the cosmos and where we are in the cosmos. And, so that lends itself to a metaphysical aspect as well. So where mandalas come in, somewhere along the line they merged, and when in my research, and mandala itself is the word mandala is actually comes from Sanskrit, the Sanskrit for sacred circle. Now the circle itself is the first archetype of sacred geometry, which then the next one is the Vesicus Pisces, where the two circles overlap, and there's the Vesicus Pisces, and then from there we get into the 4, then the 8, then the 16, and then then it would be the seed of life, and then the flower of life, and within the flower of life, sacred geometry symbolism. There's also found the cube, the tetrahedron, the tree of life. It goes on and on. It's really quite fascinating, and I encourage you to check that out a little bit more. Now, getting back to the mandala and the concept of the sacred circle, the mandalas themselves were a very ancient art process, but it really was not limited to just the Asians and the Tibetans. The Tibetans used it as a deep spiritual meditation process where it would take them sometimes days, and they would do with different colored sand, and they would build these incredible, beautiful yantras and Sri yantras and mandalas, and as a part of their meditation process, and to empty their minds and to become one with the super consciousness or the higher consciousness or our higher selves. It's a deeply meditative process, and it really allows one a moment to create their own little personal sanctuary. And when I started doing mandalas, once I started doing them, I couldn't get enough. I was felting mandalas. I showed them in, I think, in one of my earlier show and tells. I had pulled out some of the felted mandalas that I had made, and I was incorporating them into various designs, art to wear and things like that. And then I started pulling out various different ideas on some of the things that I could do. This here is a sacred geometry symbol. This actually is showing the flower of life itself and this is actually one of these holographic. It shows the flower of life with the tetrahedron, and I could have outlined more, but that was just to show you. This was one of my favorites. I actually, with art quilts and things like that too, and I have a program that's a kaleidoscope, so you can kind of make your own art quilts, patchwork, your own designs, right? So, wow, I was like really getting into the kaleidoscope software and making various types of mandalas on the quilting thing. So that was a lot of fun. And I mean, even on this is on satin, and I was using fabric paints and permanent inks, and doing it on virtually everything. Here's another holographic mandala. These here were done on with this was done with in a kids class where I had them. We had these white basic florals, and the first thing I thought of was, well, perfect circular mandala. It's not enclosed in the circle, but we can visualize that. And then on the front we colored them and various paints and all over, and then came on top with some details. These are sort of things that I did with kids. They're very open. I just have a few samples here because I've literally have done hundreds and hundreds of them over the years. This one here is an interesting little mandala that was made on a canvas piece, and it was simply just a matter of folding, making the folds and keep continuing folding. That was really a lot of fun. I'd like to do that on a larger piece, and I may do that. Here's one of my felted mandalas that I did, and that was all done in needle felting, and it's really, really something else. Now, one of the programs that I've been studying quite some time ago, Judith Cornell, I believe her name is. I don't have the book with me right now because I have lent it out to a fellow truth seeker and spiritual developer. But she is quite learned in healing mandalas, using mandalas as a form of self-expression, as a way to gain higher insights into self. But she uses black paper and white, white pencil crayons or white chalk, but it's basically working with the dark, and you using various weights of pressure to it's really cool. It is a different experience altogether when you're working with a black paper and you're working the white. It's like the light is breaking through the darkness. There's so many spiritual thoughts and processes that came through my mind when I was developing these. I mean, I have hundreds of these. I mean, I bought packs and packs of black papers, and this one here was was kind of indicative, a little bit of a mimic for connect to nature, sacred geometry, infinite divine light, infinite denial. These are all thoughts and things that came to me. But I found this on a native, a Dakota shaman or a Lakota elder, dark or black elk. He had actually has a beautiful statement about the circle in itself, because this is where I was talking about earlier, where the Tibetans and the Asians, or the east part of the continents, they weren't the originators of sacred mandalas. Mandalas have been a huge part of the cultures throughout the world, and anthropologists and archaeologists have found the circle and many variations. I actually even had some pictures, but I didn't want to inundate this with a whole lot of pictures and that. I can give resources if you're interested, but you only have to do a simple search on Google for mandalas in North America and the natives worlds and thing like that. But for Black Elk, his words were everything the power of the world does is drawn in a circle. The sky is round, and I have heard that the earth is round. Before, I guess, they realized it. I'm reading it off of a card here. So, everything the power of the world does is done in a circle. The sky is round, and I have heard that the earth is round, like a ball. And so are the stars. The wind, in its greatest power, whirls. Birds make their nests in circles, for theirs is the same religion as ours. The sun comes forth and goes down again in a circle. The moon does the same, and both are round. Even the seasons form a great circle in their changing, and always come back again to where they were. The life of man is a circle from childhood to childhood, and so it is in everything where power moves. And that was a quote by Black Elk, Dakota leader. So one of the main reasons is, this is actually from a coloring book. This one here is one that I do on a break. I take the coloring books. This is a sacred geometry, a flower of life, and it was highlighted with inks. This is with water-soluble inks, and you could see there's a tetrahedron. I deliberately made some coloring, dark and lights highlights so that you could see the cube in that. But one thing that I wanted to really talk about, though, too, is that the mandala itself is kind of a device for healing. It's a device to meditate, and when we absorb this mandala into our consciousness, we reorient our world in such a way for personal growth. Your mind is taken from the distractions of the outer world, and you're kind of focusing more on your inner world, and more towards your virtues of self-awareness and wisdom and compassion. This is something that we just did in a recent group, a women's group, where we gave everybody a big piece of paper, and there was a circle pre-drawn. I prefer everybody draw their own circles because it's part of the beginnings of your meditation, but that's okay. For time's sake, we gave them a circle already to start with, and then each person was given some prompts just to kind of help them get started, because for some this was something very radical. For some, for me, having done so many of them, it's almost become like a breath for me, and it comes so easily, and I do so many of them. I sometimes forget that some people this kind of a concept is really not very comfortable for some. The nature itself, when you even look in nature, the creative life force of nature itself in many ways is the ultimate mandala. Our Mother Earth is the greatest mandala there is, and natural mandalas can be seen basically just walking in your garden. One of the exercises that I did over a month ago was to take a walk in nature and take pictures of as many mandalas, or those things that brought me in as contemplation towards mandalas, to take pictures of it. I mean, I literally just in the span of about 20 minutes, I must have taken 100 different pictures. Everything from flowers to even rocks, and walking around a house, there was a drain pipe, and inside the drain, the drain itself was a circle, and inside it there were patterns of rust, but just when you looked at it from the plan view down, and it took on a two-dimensional look, there is actually a pattern involved on the inside. These are things that you develop as you grow into doing mandalas. Why would you want to do a mandala? Well, you might have different reasons for it. So before you answer any of that, this is the whole preemptive, as to why I actually wanted to do a quick video as to why I do mandalas. This latest course I took, I was in my women's group. One of the ladies, facilitators, she had told me about this online mandala journaling. So it was taking the concept of building and creating mandalas and incorporating it with daily journaling. Well, I've been a journaler. We used to call them diaries when we were younger, but I've been writing in journals all my life. The past couple of years haven't been as often because I have severe carpal tunnel and I can't write for any length of time before my hand, I'm in pain with my hand and that sort of thing. However, with technology today, there's a lot of verbal journaling that I can do, and I've gotten to the point now where I do my gratitudes and kind of focus on the more important things that I want to journal about. So that's, you kind of do your switch offs, right? So, but getting back to this online mandala journal, it's Heather Plett, Plett, Heather. And like I said, it's a 30-day online mandala journaling course. And I'll tell you, so every day she gives you a prompt, and she's done a lot of research with this course. I thoroughly enjoyed every day. I actually was getting disappointed that it was nearing the end, because I looked forward to it. I had this focus every day on a new idea, a new thought process, and every day that passed and every new idea that was given or a concept given to us, I was finding and peeling away more and more onion skins and kind of defining me and the things that are important to me, because after all, our journey is really about becoming the best human that we can be and bringing as many people with us as we raise our consciousness, we raise our vibration, and we raise up into a new world and a new way and a new beginning, right? Where there's none of this crap that's going on. I don't even try to focus on a lot of that. But this here, what I did, and it really doesn't have to cost a lot. For me, I went out and I went to Michael's and I bought the Artist Loft watercolor paper. It's 140 pound. It was $10.99 for the book, which is extremely good for really nice 140 pound watercolor paper, because I do, and she suggests pencil crayons, but I did some in pencil crayons. But for me, it's still there's still a lot of issues with my carpal tunnel, so I had my art markers. And so that's what I primarily concentrated on, was art markers. So I used my chakra colors, and you probably want to, for some of you, you might say, what's a chakra? Well, that's kind of tied into a lot of the metaphysical journey too, and it's kind of finding out about your whole metaphysical self. We're electromagnetic energy bodies, we're electrical circuits, and we're pulsating, vibrating energy. And if you really wanted to take us right down to the sub-nanomolecular level, you will see that that's really what we are. We're just but then, it kind of gets, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go, right? And so those are, openings for those of you who want to explore. But for those of you who are interested in even, I'm just going to go through this. Like, this was day one. This was just kind of one of the, so the thought process for that day was play. And it was just to kind of get you going for those who have not ever done it before. It was called Play, and it was just draw circles all over within the circle, and you do all these reoccurring circles, and then as you're doing them, if there's a pattern or something in particular that comes up, you can highlight it and whatnot. And for me, I kept seeing a lot of overlapping all those little fishes, so that was quite. I thought that was quite funny, and of course one of them really resembled an eyeball. Day 2 was more about the spiral, the journaling, and this one was about. I don't even have the title on this. I think this one was Best Abilities. So day 3 was debrief. No, day 3 was chaos. I believe that's what day 3 was about, chaos. What chaos looks like for you. And then some of the thing in the center, what is it that we do to either remove, or what does chaos look like for us? Like overwhelm, destruction, pollution, animal war, hunger, noise, overflowing. And then next, then there was the yin and yang, and chaos versus spontaneity, disorder, which would be the one side of duality. Of course, it's always about duality, and as long as we're in this dimensional flow, we're going to always be associated to duality. And this one here is about prayer, but she gives you a written prelude into, which really kind of helps if many people, they look and somebody says, oh, do this and draw it. They're like deer in a headlight. So she really does provide you a wonderful platform of growth on a day-to-day basis. And and it goes all the way through. Like I said, it's I did mine from my holes from the right to the left. But, that was community. I think this one here was grace. This one here was shadows, all about the shadows. And this one was doodling. It was just only about doodling, and it really, really lends itself to a lot of creativity. This one was about intention. We had one here, this one was about vocation. And this is where you can actually streamline and really kind of focus and hone in on some of the things that you want to see happen in your life, or get rid of in your life, or some of the things that you've had to deal with in your life. There's a real healing. I had some major shifts. I really did. And I can say, like I said, I almost felt sad that I was nearing the end of this. But what this has done for me, and of course we even have this big one here. This was one of the days. And of course the very last day too was to create a huge mandala. This one here was a very large one here for day 19. And this one was about passion. What is my passion? What drives me? What makes me passionate about the things I want to do? So there's some really good food for thought in that. That was a great exercise. And I actually, you don't have, like, even though it's a day-to-day journal, there's no rules that say you had to finish them all in the one day. For this particular one, I actually came back to it a few days, over time. I had it up on my easel, and I came back to it several times and really kind of soaked in that, what is passion? For me, a passion is universal. It's not just about me, because I feel that we are all so connected. Passion is love and self-love. Passion feels right. You're in alignment with the best of yourself when you're fully passionate. My passion is to paint. Add paint to paper, to fabric, to canvas, to color bursts. Passion is about focus, right? Because when you're passionate about something, you're focused on it, and there's not really a whole lot of outside disturbance. It's so tunneled, binding. When you've got this passion flowing through you, it's not binding, it's blinding. But binding is another good word. I think I'll add that. Binding, because it does. It kind of ties you in to a commitment. You're committed to a passion, right? I'm going to put binding. That's a good one. So this is what I mean, right? So over the time, so what we did was it was just draw the biggest circle we could, right? And I just took a pencil and a string to make this one. And then what you do is you just take a pen and you just draw it, like just make marks and make squigglies everywhere on it. And then take each of those squigglies and fill them in with colors. And then as your thought process took you, of course I had to wait till the paint dried, and some of it's with ink, most of it's with paint. And then when the voice prompts you, then that's where you write. Oh, it was so good. I really, really enjoyed it. But I wanted to really, this here, you don't need a whole lot to do it. Just a cheap compass. I got this at Michael's. I have a really good compass set somewhere. Okay, since my move, when I moved in with my partner, there are so many things. I mean, I had a beautiful compass set from my drafting days, and who knows? I know it's not very good, but I'm in a bit of an organized chaos. But someday it might show up. But in the interim, I mean, this was I think $1.99, and that's all you need. It really stretches out nice. But for some who really want to do a lock and load type of a deal, you can spend upwards of $10 on a good compass. I've got my old, like I said, I've got all my old drafting board from the days of old with journeymans when you used to journey in your design. But I mean, I had all my templates still. But I did go and I did purchase a circle template because I couldn't find mine. But I mean, even here, just any kind of template or shapes that you have around, just to kind of bring them all together. I actually had an old scrapbook, a clear scrapbook container here. There's where I put all my mandala throughout the whole journey. So you don't really need a lot. You just need to get some cheap paper. You could even do it on bond paper with your pencil crayons. You don't have to go to markers. I went to watercolor paper because I didn't want my markers to bleed through my regular, even my mixed media paper, the markers bleed through unless I want to pay $45 for a high-end mixed media. So like I said, you can do it with a compass. For the smaller circles and stuff, you can use, all kinds of things. You can use, containers that are circles like this. You can bowls, glasses, cups, whatever, right? Anything that's a circle. So the mandala making is really, it's really quite a force to be reckoned with. And like I said, I have taken it a step further, and I've continued to do like a mandala journaling, and only I've done it in a smaller volume now, much like if I was carrying around a journal and journaling in it. I've got pre-drawn circles, and whenever I go on a break or if I have a few minutes, I will or if a thought comes to me, then I'll put that thought there, and then I'll draw the mandala based on that thought. And I see what comes of it, and I stand back and I review it. And the other thing too is I've even gone back through my the last day was at the end of June. So I've gone back and reviewed all of that. Carl Jung, he believed that mandalas themselves are a part of what he calls the collective consciousness. So, and this is kind of what I was alluding to, is that there's this collective consciousness that we're all a part of. And it's kind of like this organizing principle that's built into all of us, right? So, and it's just a matter of us tapping into it. So the central point of a mandala, this is what's symbolic. This one here we didn't really, but almost all my mandalas have a central point. It's kind of like the center of your being, this small, still voice. The still, calm point about which all the chaotic elements of our universe and our lives reside. So, I hope that you maybe picked up something from it. I just wanted to share why I love doing mandalas and why I think that we should all get into a practice of making mandalas. The other thing we did, even just about a week ago, and I've been doing them over the years, was we made nature mandalas. We down on the beach, picking up pebbles and driftwood and things like that, making a sand mandala, and making a point of praying and uplifting yourself and getting yourself into a right place and getting that peace and alignment. And like I said, all of these are preludes to a higher consciousness, higher vibration, and higher, better lives. So I do have some great resources. You can actually, for those who are not quite ready to jump into drawing their own mandalas, you can still get the same, you know, relaxing benefit from coloring them. So I bought a couple of these from Amazon, from Dover Books. And this one here is kind of like the stained glass one. And what I did, this one here is my favorite, Mystical Mandala. And what I did is I photocopied, or I scanned, I'm keeping this as my master, and I scan the pages and I bring them with me to work or wherever I go, and I color as I go when I don't have time to draw. So, there's really no excuse that you can't, but then you may not even be interested, and that's okay too. But if you've listened this far, oh, this is another book that I really like too. This one here is another one, Natural Mandalas. So this here kind of gives an overview of just some of the nature's mandalas. Oh, this one that I wanted to show. Where is he? He's a remarkable creature. Look at this. That's the eye of the dragon, of a lizard. Like that. If that's not an ultimate mandala, I don't know what is. Anyway, because English is my native tongue, I'm not going to say namaste. I'm going to say peace be with you. And I hope we meet again. Look forward to another video in the future. And it would be great to hear some of your responses on your mandala making. Okay, ciao.